Guys, have you seen this video? Yes, this particular one. The one that has the pastor and the church member, right? There was conflict, and people are having their say on social media. And I want to talk about how we manage conflict, especially in the workplace. And I'm going to use their situation as a case study, right? Now, conflicts are bound to happen because we are all different people with different orientations and different socialization. So, once in a while, we must have divergent views, and this will be the cause of conflict. But conflict doesn't mean that we should be abusive and we should undermine each other. Conflict just helps us to understand each other better and co create solutions that will serve us. So, you saw how the pastor, from the first video, you saw how the pastor was preaching. And I must admit, he could have said his message in a better way, right? I think that what he said probably triggered the church member to also respond or react the way she did. Number one, in conflict resolution, you must acknowledge the conflict based on facts and not emotions, right? So here you could see that there was a conflict, and the conflict was their church member probably feels that tithe is being weaponized by the church. So if you're not paying your tithe, you do not enjoy certain privileges. So that is where the conflict is. The conflict is not that she called or insulted the pastor. The conflict is that she felt that the tithe is being weaponized by the church. So acknowledge the conflict based on facts and not emotions. Now listen. The next thing is you have to listen. If you see how, I must commend the pastor on this. He listened to the church member when she was expressing her concerns about what was happening, right? He listened to her. But one thing you should do when you are listening is you should listen with curiosity and not to confront. When you listen with curiosity, you ask questions to know more. When you listen with the spirit to confront, you want to prove that you are right. So listen with curiosity. So when you are listening with curiosity, it will cause you to ask certain questions to help you appreciate the conflict or the person's conflicting idea or how the person feels or what the person is saying, to help you appreciate that more. So you acknowledge the problem, you listen with curiosity, and then we identify the root cause. Every conflict beyond the face value has a root cause. Why is the person really behaving the way they are behaving? And in this particular circumstance, I can see that the root cause would have been communication and expectation. Number one, probably how the pastor spoke triggered her. Number two, she has certain expectations of the church which are not being met. So those are the root causes. So you have to dig deeper. What are her expectations? What does she expect of the church? And is she valid to expect that? Right? Based on the constitution, based on the how the church operates, is she right to want those things, or her expectations, is she right to have those expectations? So you have to now have that conversation of her expectations and probably the communication. Could the pastor do better? What could he learn about emotional intelligence and when you are speaking to a congregation? So we've done acknowledge the problem or acknowledge the conflict. We've looked at listening. We've looked at identifying the root cause, and then we'll go to generating solutions. Now, when you understand the root cause and you have had a conversation about it, how can we now co-create solutions? Okay, it's about co-creating solutions. It's not about who is right or who is wrong, right? Definitely somebody might be wrong, somebody might be right, but here, when solving a conflict, we are not here to point those things out. We are here to find solutions. How can we co-create solutions? Based on my expectation, based on your expectations, how can we meet at a point where all of us have some form of satisfaction? So you want to now look at co-creating a solution. Now, after you have generated that solution, you want to normalize conflicts, normalize and next steps. We need to normalize conflicts. When conflicts happen, they are actually bound to happen. And when they happen, let's normalize it. Let's not behave like conflict shouldn't happen. They would happen and they will continue to happen. These things will continue to happen in the church. And they'll continue to happen in the workplace. They'll happen everywhere because we are human beings with different orientations. Let's normalize it. After we've normalized that this was okay, it was okay that you feel this way, it's okay that you do this, it's okay to have conflicting ideas, right? But it's not okay to act on emotions. So, like I said, act on the data, act on the facts. Now that we have normalized conflicts, what are the next steps of the co-created solutions that we have, or co-created solutions that we have generated? What do we have to do the next day, the next 2 days, the next year, the next month? What are the next steps? Why is this important? It helps us to follow up and see whether we are making progress or not. So yes, this framework is called the Align framework. And anytime that you have conflicts, just think along these lines and find better ways of solving your conflicts. Being confrontational is not going to help anybody. At the end of the day, you want to be heard, you want a solution. You don't want who won the fight or who lost. You want to generate solutions. So let's generate solutions with conflicts and not just look for who is right and who is wrong. I hope you learned something from this. So my name is Kwabena Dapa, and I give you information to make better decisions in life. I hope this was helpful.